hang on a minute, is university, is education, is it a massive trap to keep you in your place, get you thinking the same way as other people? And if it's not a trap, then that just shows that you've got to do all this extra stuff to make sure that you stand out. Because when you come out of university, you're the same as thousands of people. So you've got to do something different. Hello, mate.
You okay?
Hi, Jean-Luc.
Hello. All right, my name is Jean-Luc. I don't know, IBK might have lied to you again, and like the last person told you that I'm French.
No,
I'm not actually French. But yeah, it's got a French name. Yeah, I went Coventry Uni with IBK, and I'm studying. We're studying marketing. So yeah, that's me.
How'd you find marketing?
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, not too bad. I mean, I picked a course that wasn't too difficult. It's like computer science, what IBK is doing. That's too much for me. Like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So I don't want to do anything like science or maths and that kind of like rubbish. So I thought, all right, I'll do marketing because it's like partly creative and partly practical as well. I wasn't going to do any like art degree either, because I've been to the art department and they just make paper mache stuff. I'm not doing that at university, you know. So, so yeah, marketing's all right.
So I did computer science. So yeah, what about you, Crystal?
Well, I went to Birmingham City Uni and I did English and media at my undergrad, and now I'm doing media and cultural studies at master's level. I kind of done a bit of marketing in my internship that I've been doing previously, so kind of in the same boat as you.
So two things we want to touch on is on finance. So it could be student finance and maybe advice on like how to spend money and stuff like that. And the second one is to touch on mental health, because I feel that mental health is not spoken about enough at university level. Even at A levels, we don't really talk about mental health. You know, something goes wrong, you flip a table and then you get sent into isolation for 3 days and then you come out and then that does nothing. So Jean-Luc, do you want to ask some questions about finances then?
Is your course worth the money?
I would say yes, but there are aspects, obviously, with the pandemic where we're spending all this money, but we're not being able to use the facilities that they provided for us and also the equipment. So before, everything was great. We could use any equipment. There was everything available to us. But then with the pandemic, everything just got shut down. Didn't get to use anything. And obviously, because my course, I do media, we couldn't hire any of the cameras, anything like that. And obviously, my course was mostly theoretical based, but it would have been nice to be able to use the equipment. But overall, if it wasn't for the pandemic, I would say yes, it would have been worth it. But at the same time, I'm not too sure. It's kind of all up in the air with that kind of, you know, everything that's going on right now, everything that went on beforehand.
So do you think that it would have been beneficial for maybe the government to come out and say, okay, you know, the pandemic was an unexpected circumstance, so why don't we give, you know, people who are studying practical-based subjects more resources to compensate for not being taught the valuation that the degree requires? Yeah,
definitely. Because, you know, if you do an open university, it's much less, and that's all online. And that's basically what we're doing now. It's all online. We're not getting any support from any practical-based, you know, stuff. And it would have been nice if the government could have helped, but that's a whole different, you know, I have my own thoughts on the government, and I don't think they've done anything to really help us. So.
How many hours of lectures did you get a week when you was online, like moved online?
We did 3 days, but it was actually split. So we done around about 9 hours a week, but then that cut down and we only done about 6 hours on a Monday. And then all the other days, they done about 5 lessons or so out of the 12 weeks. And then they stopped doing that because they were like, oh, you've got enough information. You can just do tutorials with us. And so I don't think we got as much help in some of the modules as we should have.
Mm. Oh, okay. Because I got 4 hours of lessons a week. That was it.
And I thought
No, I only got 4 hours. That was it. And it was awful. That was really bad.
And I got roughly the same as well. I got roughly the same. So I got 4 to maybe 5 hours a week because my course is mainly, online. So I don't need to go into university. So I guess it didn't really affect me that much. But then in lectures, it didn't feel the same at all. It was more of an isolated journey. So if you were in the real classroom, you could, talk to someone you've never talked to before. But when you're just seeing names on the screen you've never seen before, it's not the same where you can see their facial expressions, or you can say, hi, have you done this assignment? Have you done this tutorial? Can we discuss this, or can we meet up for a Starbucks? You can't, because it's not the same. And people are not as engaged over online, as well as, in campus. So yeah, it's been more of an isolated journey for me because, it's not been easy, but I'm glad I've got through it anyway. So
that's kind of the same with me. My undergrad, when the pandemic happened, that was all my dissertation, so I didn't have anyone to really speak to that time. But then for my master's, we had about 12 students on one of our modules. And when we went into breakout rooms, nobody would go into different breakout rooms. So it was always the same 3 people in each breakout room. And when you try to join, it was just silent. Like no one would want to speak to you. So I feel the same as you, IPK.
Because I think
that was the same with me.
Before university, people have their cliques. People have a group of friends where they relate to each other, and then they just stick the same through all the way till the end. And bearing that in mind, it's difficult. Unless you know someone from before you can talk to, you can always pop up and say, hi. But if you don't, then it's just the way it is. It just remains like that.
Did people leave your breakout rooms? Like they go into a breakout room and then just disappear?
Yeah, all the time. To be honest, I did that once. So I'm a bit guilty, but no, because it would all be like just discussing readings and stuff. So if I didn't do the reading, then there was no point in me being there. But yeah, people would just disappear randomly. But thankfully, the other 2 that were in my module, they were in my other modules, so we kind of knew each other anyway. As IBK was saying, it's all people who you know, and then no one wants to really mix with other people.
So I was going to ask, what has been the best thing you've invested in as a student during your time as a student at university?
A good question.
While you're thinking, I'll just say mine. So what I've invested in is my workstation. So before 3rd year, I knew that I'll be spending almost all my time reading or writing or typing or researching. So I knew that I had to spend a lot of money investing in a workstation. So that was making sure my desk was right, making sure my chair was comfortable, making sure that my room was organized to support my needs. So my bed is just right next to where I'm studying. So if I need to go for a quick nap, I can just go. And also the way my desk is positioned as well is positioned to optimize my study sessions I have, because I study for 5-6 hours at a go. So my focus has to be very tunnel visioned as well. And I had to make sure I bought a nice monitor as well. And, a docking station to make sure that I can look at multiple screens at once. So if I'm searching for how to, design handlebars for a website, or design, how to change a background layout, I can just, do it quickly. Or if I need to attend a lecture and, research as the lecturer is talking, I can do that as well. So, for example, this chair I'm sitting on, it cost me about £250, but it's been one of the best investments I've ever had, because I'm able to, study for 8 hours straight without any issues. So that's an example of my best investment because that has helped me get the very best out of my study sessions. So that's just me personally.
Probably should have done the same, to be honest. I think mine were, I've got two that I can think of in mind at the moment, and that's my laptop. I didn't buy it. They gave us Adobe software, and I couldn't use that on my iPad and other devices. So I bought my laptop specifically for that reason, and I've been learning how to use Adobe, how to use other stuff like Procreate. Obviously, because I was in marketing, as I said before, and I had to create campaigns, I had to create adverts. So that was obviously one of the best investments. The second one probably would have been a car. I had a lot of issues on the buses trying to get to uni, which is probably another whole topic of, transport to uni and all that. So I brought a car, and probably one of the best things I could have done. Great. Because obviously I commute from home to uni, so I love my car.
Nice. What about you, John Luke?
Well, I was just going to quickly say, because I just started smiling because do you remember when you bought that fridge?
That was back in uni, mate. That was not now.
You're gonna have to tell me now.
Oh, okay. So
you just buy a whole fridge?
So basically, I lived out at uni for first year, right?
Yeah.
So, fuck's sake. So in my room, I had a microwave and I had a fridge, right? So that I don't need to go to the kitchen for I didn't want to talk to anyone because, I was just new to uni. So I bought a microwave and I bought a fridge, obviously using my student finance money. So that if I need to, warm up something real quick, I can just do it in my room and then wash my plate in the kitchen and so on. I could even wash my plate in my room because my room had a sink in it, so I could do that. So yeah.
You lived 5 meters from the kitchen.
Yeah, the thing is
bought a fridge.
The thing is the kitchen was quite close to my room as well. It was just down the corridor from where my room is.
Remember when the student lettings company said they're going to check everyone's rooms? So, and you smuggled out the fridge.
So basically, fridges are not allowed in your rooms. I don't know why, but so the letting agency, I don't know, was it a rule? I don't know, but fridges are not allowed. So they did say that they were coming during the week to inspect our rooms to make sure we're not having anything that's not allowed. So it was on a Friday or Thursday afternoon. I remember it till this day. I heard a knock, right? And then I said, who is it? And then the woman said who she was, and she was the officer, right, for the lettings agency. So she knocked, and then because my fridge was quite big, it's a big mini fridge. So I was thinking what to do. Because, if someone sees a fridge in your room and you're not meant to, you might get a fine for it or whatever, or to get told off. So I put the fridge in my wardrobe where my clothes were. And then that did the job, I guess. She didn't look in my wardrobe, so I guess it was fine. So, yeah.
Are you that much of an introvert that you couldn't walk to the kitchen?
Yeah. I don't know. I was bougie like that, I guess.
And you got that, was it a sandwich griller or something?
Oh, yeah. I did the most at first year. I did the most. I bought things I never needed, but I was 19 at the time, innit? So
it's gone from the best investment to the worst investment.
Yeah, that was my worst investment because it cost me a lot to buy the fridge and the microwave, but...
So what have you done with them now? Do you still have them?
Yeah, we still use the fridge in the house. The microwave, we still use it in the house. So I guess it was long term, I guess, but it was not needed at the time. So.
Yeah, you bought a kitchen.
Yeah. I had a mini kitchen in my room. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, best investment was probably a laptop. I already had it, but without that laptop, I would have had to commute all the way to the library every single day. And, it's just when you got a laptop, you can just at any time just open it up in your room. It could be 1, 2, 3 o'clock and just start working. Yeah. So that's the best investment. Although BK knows this, I did once spend 24 hours in a library straight. And that was
God,
ridiculous.
not sleep.
I did not sleep. We was working, but basically we had one of them group like work and that group work, and the deadline was the next day, and people sent me all their work, and it was a part of it was in Portuguese, right?
It was a group. Was it a group task, right?
Yeah, it was a group task.
Yeah.
I had to find every single source of information, where they got it from. They didn't tell me where they got it from. And that took so many hours. And I had to Google Translate things and remove things. And it was a nightmare. I was in that library for 24 hours straight. I had a whole massive bag of like crisps, sweets, everything. And I was there for so long, I even saw the cleaner come in at like 6 a.m. and cleaning all the desks and that. And I was still there. Oh, it was awful. But the thing is, we actually got a first in that.
It was worth the hype.
So I'll take it, but never again. Never again. But I was still on my laptop in that library. I still wasn't on the computers they was offering. So yeah, laptop's the best investment.
Nice. I was going to ask as well, do you think, Crystal, that your degree would be worth the same during this pandemic compared to students that have studied your degree without the pandemic? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would say so, because again, it was mostly theoretical based unless you chose certain modules that were practical based. So there's still a lot you can get out of it. Obviously, English you can do in campus versus online. Kind of the same with media. Most of it was down to researching your own cultures and looking into different communities online or wherever you want to look. There are issues with having to do interviews and virtual photography, those kind of stuff, because obviously you can't go out to do your interviews, can't go out to do focus groups, so you have to do all online. And that has its own implications, but it's still doable. So I don't think there's much of a difference with doing it on campus and doing it online. There's still, a lot of stuff that you can do.
I think that my degree would be worth the same as someone who didn't study during the pandemic, because my course has been online. So there's been no reason to go to uni for any reasons. But then when we have group activities that require people to reason together, it's not being the same, because there's more reliance on every single person in the team to contribute towards a common goal. So, like I said, it's been like an isolated effort at times, but yeah, I think it's been a good thing in a way, because it's made us more resilient and stronger, so that when we study without a pandemic, or when we are working without a pandemic, we will find it quite easy. And the strength and resilience that we've gathered from studying during the pandemic will help us pull through even easier. So that's what I think. How about you, John Luke? How do you think your degree is worth the same when you studied during the pandemic compared to compared to students who have studied when there's no pandemic?
I don't think it was worth the money even before the pandemic, to be honest. I thought like what we're paying over $9,000 a year. Technically it's like 9,500 or whatever. I think it's like worth a third of that.
Do you think it'll be useful?
Like $3,000.
Do you think it would be useful if in prospectuses they gave a breakdown of like what the money goes on? So what the tuition money goes on. So it could say £80 goes on lectures, £150 goes on teaching, £900 goes on the facilities you have access to, £500 goes towards trips or extracurricular activities. Do you think that would be useful at all, or do you think that students should just have the valuation of £9,250 that
Well, I see universities, and you're investing in your future, right? So if you're an investor, if you invest into a company, you want to know where your money's going. Yeah. So it should be the same with university. You're given like $9,000. Like obviously it's indirect, it's come from students' loans company, but you're giving this $9,000 to the uni. Where's the money going? Because to be honest, all I see the money going in is like just smashing down buildings and then building another building in the same place, which does the same job, or buying some wheelie chairs. Do you remember when they got rid of all them desks and just replaced them with wheelie chairs with like a joint desk that goes into the front of the chair? Like, what's the point? So, and then like they spent like hundreds of pounds on a sign that just says Coventry in like massive wooden blocks. Like, what's the point of that? Yeah, I haven't paid. Why am I paying for that? Yeah, like I just think uni's a rip-off, really. Even now, I'd say it should be about $3,000 for a year. It should be for your normal course. And now that we're in a pandemic, it should be like $1,500 max. Because you're just paying for that piece of paper, aren't you? You're spending all them years, 40 grand or whatever, for a piece of paper that just says, "Oh, I graduated in this." You know.
Do you think that before university, people should be educated, should have like compulsory workshops? So, for example, it could be a diversity workshop. Like for me, when I did my placement at the NHS, we had to attend compulsory workshops on fire safety. We had to attend workshops on diversity, understanding race and backgrounds and stuff like that. We had to attend a first aid workshop as well. And these are all level 2 workshops. But then in those workshops, they actually went really, really in depth on how to deal with certain situations at work. You could ask questions. And it's not just one person in that place. There were like 50 people who were in that workshop. But at university, that's not the case, is it? You don't have to, like, there's no compulsory workshops, because at university, we see things like suicidal rates going up. We see stuff like lad culture. We see, students having group parties in the pandemic when they're not supposed to. We see things that are going out of hand, but right in year 1, maybe year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, whatever it is, because it's not enough giving students the benefit of the doubt that they'll be sensible, or, when they're faced with the situation, they'll be able to deal with it successfully.
Well, I think that the jump between college or sixth form and uni, you do have those immature people who don't know anything about those kind of topics that you raised. And even for me, I didn't do anything like first aid training. I would have loved to do that. And I think having it mandatory in year 1 would have definitely benefited myself and maybe other people as well. And because you see a lot of people, they go into uni not expecting, I don't know what their mindset is, but they kind of drop out after the first year, and they don't have any of that kind of training, any of that knowledge of culture, any of that, none of that training that I think probably would be beneficial throughout, uni and the rest of your life as well.
So at university, do you think that we should have compulsory classes or workshops where, students attend those workshops that explain, diversity, lad culture, could be first aid, all these necessary skills, not skills, but, education, like, in the Premier League, we have like workshops on racism, that kind of stuff, because not every student comes from the same community, backgrounds, families, you know what I mean? So my family would be different to how your family is, kind of thing. Like my community, who is my neighbor, who is your neighbor, my financial status, your financial status. So it's important for students to have this knowledge at the back of their minds when they're at university, where they attend workshops, where they can ask questions, where they are educated, because not everyone knows everything, right? So it's important for students to have knowledge of aspects of life, like, diversity, racism, how to deal with people who are in a different socio-economic class to yourself. So I was just going to ask you, like, what do you think? Do you think that would be a good thing to introduce in universities, so that students, statistics such as suicide go down, statistics such as lad culture go down, because these things are just going up every year. So I just wanted to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I agree, because the more you're engaged with the uni, the more you take it seriously, I think. So if you feel detached from university, that's when you start, like, bad habits start creeping in. You're more likely to go partying too much, or like I don't know, get drunk or too much or I don't know, whatever. But if you feel more part of the university and you're going to these workshops and talks, you're going to be a bit more professional, because then you're realizing, oh, I'm moving one step closer to actually going in full-time employment. I've got to think of like how much money I'm going to save, all this kind of stuff. But I think, to be honest, first aid courses, they should be compulsory because I can't believe, if you look into first aid courses now, they cost hundreds of pounds to do a first aid course. That should be included in the £9,000 that you're spending at university. That should be a basic requirement for me. But yeah, definitely there should be talks on different races, ethnicities, all this kind of stuff. Because, do you remember the start of the pandemic, they were saying about hate crime towards Chinese people increasing because of the mask situation. Now, if that was addressed at the start of university and they saw that coming, they could have done certain certain classes just to talk about different ethnicities, different cultures, how people were different. Because obviously we've been brought up in quite multicultural areas, so we're fine with that. We understand how different different cultures work. But other people from other different groups or different countries might not be as aware of different ethnicities and how people have been brought up. So I do think that would be quite important. Because let's be honest, the university just send out generic emails, say, oh, don't do this, don't do that. But there is no you don't see people face to face having a conversation,
That's
so
true.
yeah, I agree. Yeah. Is university campus food overpriced or another form of ripping off students?
It is overpriced. I would definitely say that. Even a campus shop, I went in for a glue stick once and it was like, I don't know, £1 something or £2 so just for this little glue stick. And I was like, I could go get a pack from Poundland. It's not just that, the food as well. You go to the cafeteria, get hot food. I think I've never done that. I think maybe once. I don't even know. I'd usually go to the campus store where they do have meal deals. But even then, it's sorry, it just popped up. I don't know what that is. But yeah, even then, you could go to Tesco's and get probably a meal deal that's £1, £2 cheaper. So I do think it's very overpriced. And even then, I would just pop into town because, I was on the town campus. So it was just a 10-minute walk. But if I had an hour, I would have to kind of go to the campus shop or I'd just bring my own food because it is overpriced what it is.
Yeah.
For us, I know the student union was right next to the restaurant and they were selling food for £4 or £5 at lunch. It's an absolute rip-off. And the student union is right next door. And you're thinking they send out these questionnaires asking, how is your experience improved, all this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, you're right next door, you're charging £4 or £5 for food, yeah? And then you don't need to ask a questionnaire. You don't need to put that out. Just fix what's right around the corner from you. Use some common sense. But let's be honest, the people who get into these student unions, they feel like, oh yeah, I'm popular, I've got these responsibilities now. But they kind of, their egos go right through the roof. But then at the end of the day, they've just got some chancellors or some university staff above them. That's they're in control really. They've got all the power, not the actual student who's sitting in these student union, big chairs or whatever. So yeah, it's way overpriced, to be honest. You'd thinking, you get some discounts or something. That should be the main area everyone wants to go to eat, catch up, chill and that. But it's not. It's just another money making scheme.
Mm.
Just to ask a question, did your student union actually do anything?
No, I don't know anything they've done.
Yeah, because that's the same with me. I mean, I'm a student rep, and one of my fellow friends, they came up to me and they were like, do you know anything that's going on with the student union? Because I would love to get involved. And I was like, I have no idea what's going on. They send emails, all the time, but nothing ever gets done. And even because they're in charge of the student rep stuff, and I hardly get any meetings or anything with them, and I have no idea what they're doing.
I genuinely think it's a cover-up. They I reckon some people complained, like students complained like years and years ago, and then the university went, all right, let's create this student union. You can have your say. And then they've gone, oh yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, I have my say. And then that's it. They got their say, but like, then that's it. They was just, the union just wanted to appease people so they can keep on just like ripping people off, basically. That's what I think it's all about.
Yeah, I think university students get ripped off too easily, and they don't get informed about this. So unless you have a friend or a relative who goes to the same university or is about to go to the same university that you are at, and they're not informed, they will get ripped off. So in first year in Coventry, when I lived in the accommodation with, how many students would you say lived in that accommodation?
There's about 30 to 50, I reckon.
Yeah, 30 to 50 students. So one thing I didn't bear in mind was the cost of living, right? So that's laundry, that's food, that's clothes. What else? Rent as well. We had to pay rent, didn't we? But that came out of the student finance, didn't it? So those four things, like I really underestimated how much of an effect that would have on my finances as a person. So laundry, how many times a week am I washing my clothes, right? How many times am I, topping up my card to use the laundry downstairs, That
The price of that was a joke.
It was a joke. It was a massive joke.
It was like £2.20 for one wash.
Yeah, it was
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. And, when students want to live away from home, what is their justification for living away from home? I'm lucky that I live in Birmingham, which is like a central hub. So I can, easily go to Coventry and stuff like that. So that's not a problem. But then if someone lives in a local university, then why live away from home? That's something they need to think about, I think. Because student finance is great, but at some point, the student finance is going to be diminished. There's not going to be any student finance anymore, and you're going to have to dip into your pockets to, pay for your own expenses. So yeah, that's why I wanted to bring that up. Anything else, John Luke?
Have you been given any job search support from your university?
Yes, loads. They send emails they must send about 15 emails or so for placement opportunities, internships, jobs, everything, unpaid and paid. The only thing is that they go so quick. It's like there's 2 positions available, and once you try to get involved or you send your CV, it's like the application, it's all ended. It's like, oh, we've already got the people we need, or it just gets filled so quickly. It's unbelievable.
There you go, Ivy. There you go.
I was going to ask her to touch briefly on her work experience. Like, how did you get your work experience? What was the process like before you got it? Did you get rejected a few times? Did it have a positive impact on you? The people you met, how were they like? Do you still keep in touch with them? So just briefly, can you talk on your work experience and how you came about that?
You want me to be completely honest?
Yeah.
It was horrible. It was a horrible process. So for the 3 years of undergrad and my master's, we needed placements for every single year. And so we were forced to do it. It had no help whatsoever. It was like, you need to get this placement sorted. And so every opportunity I was applying, sending my CVs, nothing was coming back. It was horrible. So in the end, I kind of just went for this unpaid position that was kind of not even down my street. It was just something that came up, and I was like, wow, I need a placement for this module. And if I don't get it, I can't do the module. I get a fail. So I went for it. The worst experience ever. For the first one, it wasn't what I wanted to do. And the internship, it was just, I was there unpaid for 6 months when she said that it would be 4 months. And I tried to get in touch with the uni, telling them what happened. And they were like, oh, it's part of the process. You got to get through it, you got to do it. And it was like, I have no help whatsoever in, trying to contact the uni. And I realized they kind of just abused me in a way. They kind of just taken me for granted and made me do all of this stuff for them for free. And then I just left. I had enough of it, so I just left. But it was horrible. And the fact that, they're making us do these unpaid positions, I don't think that's right. In other countries, your placements and stuff, you get paid for them. So why can the UK and the UK government not do that for us here?
So did you do 3 placements then and not get paid for any of them?
I did 2. The last one, the one just that I'm writing about now, they said because of the pandemic, they were like, oh, we'll give you an option B where you can write about, your skills and what you can bring to placements and other placements. And I'm still going through that. And it's hard because they've just kind of thrown it at us and be like, oh, you can write about a different option, but there's no actual brief for it. It's just, if you did a placement, great, write about it. If you didn't, you've got to kind of write about a different placement. But I don't have any experience of a different placement, so I've just had to be researching, and I have no idea what I'm writing about, because that was one of the modules where I said at the beginning of this, where they didn't give us enough information. We don't have a brief, so I don't know what I'm writing about for that module.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's poor.
It's like the minimum wage, wasn't it like £7 or something?
Something like that, yeah.
So everyone should get at least a minimum wage when you're on these placements. To be honest, it should be illegal, like the fact that you're not getting paid.
That's poor.
I know with people in placements, some people actually have to pay partly for their placement, like, as in I knew a mate of mine, we both done the same placement for a year, and I was fortunate to get paid a good salary for it as well. But I was paid about 18,000 for this 1 year placement. So that was all right. But my mate, he went to a different university and he had to pay £2,000 in admin costs, right? I got it for free. He had to pay £2,000 just for going to a different university. And that's just ridiculous.
That's so bad. I remember for not this previous one, the one before, I was in uni 3 days. I had my placement for 2 days, and then I was actually at work at McDonald's for another 2 days. So I had no time free. I was, 7 days a week. 7 days a week. I was doing something, and that obviously it just had a massive toll on me, and I had to quit my job at McDonald's and to do this placement and to focus on uni. And then now I think about it, I feel like I was just, stupid, really. But again, I guess we learn from our mistakes.
So did you have any friends that did the same placement as you, or was it just you who went to that place?
No, we all kind of chose different ones. I went to that place. They went somewhere else in Digbeth. So I don't know what they were doing, but it was something that they were interested in. I wasn't really interested in their stuff.
So did they have similar experience to you, or was it just you who had a poor experience of?
Oh yeah, everybody's talking about this placement. Even now, at master's level, one of my friends, he absolutely hates the placement module, and he says, we're made to do this and do it unpaid and everything, and kind of rush to get a placement, not even secure a placement which is, suitable for us or has any meaning to us. We're just there trying to just find any old placement, really.
That's really sad to hear.
Yeah, it is really sad, to be honest.
I guess me and John Luke were quite privileged, aren't we, with the experience that we had, the placement experience we had.
It's true, although, let's be honest, all the work looking for placements was all on us. Like the university, who they would give you opportunities, but they're pretty much all in, well, obviously, I'm from London and all of them opportunities were in Birmingham. I'm thinking, well, why don't you try to set up links all around the country for, people from Liverpool, Manchester, London, everywhere. But they just focused on in Birmingham. And let's be honest, they were small companies. They were like plumbing companies and they were independent companies. They weren't anything big. So they weren't anything attractive. So we was all on our own. And it was kind of a case where if you couldn't find a placement, that's your problem.
That's your
That's
problem.
not our problem.
Yeah.
So if you don't get a placement, then you just get put onto the final year. And like, I don't know how it was for you, because I know you got your placement quite late, IBK. So that must be, that's just a way more pressure and stress put on you. And the university you should feel like you're given support. Obviously, the university's not going to do all the work for you, but you want someone supportive there, like helping you, you know? I don't think we got that.
Like a mentor for careers kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Even I was gonna actually ask, how about now? Are you given any support now for future employment opportunities?
Apart from the emails which we're talking about, not really. I mean, we have the Careers Plus team, but I don't think they're any help. My friend went to them and she said that they didn't really do anything. They just looked at her CV and said, oh, yeah, this is great. You can send it off to people. And then that's kind of it. There's no, I feel like they should have like some kind of file or something of, I don't know, placement providers, job opportunities where they can, help find, isn't that their job really, to help find placements, help find jobs and stuff? So I just find it a bit sad that they have this, this business that's linked to them, or I don't know what you want to call it, like, just a team to help out, but then they don't help. So
it was like my life depended on finding a placement. You know, when like you want something to badly happen, and if that does not happen, it's like the world is over. Like you might as well be invincible kind of thing. So I put my all into finding that placement because I knew that would define me as a person, because I felt like just having that university experience would just make me a nobody, because I realized that I'm just one student from, 200 students that study computer science at Coventry. And there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people like myself studying at universities that have a bigger reputation than Coventry University. So I felt like I had to do something to at least stand out a little bit moving forward. So I also applied to the NHS in Coventry and Warwickshire, and I eventually got the job. So that was, I would say that placement was one of the biggest achievements of my life, because the odds were sort of stacked against me, because I knocked on some doors, they didn't open, but this one opened, and I just put my all into it. I did mock interview as well with that. And I think in my faculty, which is the Faculty of Engineering, Computing and Maths, they give us adequate support. And that has been better as each year goes by. I receive emails of opportunities on a daily basis as well. But also they have this system called the Talent Connect team. So you can book in meetings on Teams or telephone, where you can describe what you need help with. It could be a job application. It could be an interview. It could be a technical application where they're going to ask you technical questions, and they have lots of resources to help you with that as well. So that's why hearing your plight, Crystal, it's quite sad, because what are you investing all of this money for? And it makes me question, what is the financial structure in a university? I know that the vice chancellor is at the top, right? How do they, what's their structure like? Who do they employ? Because we students, we're at the bottom, right? It sort of trickles down to us, doesn't it? So, all this information is kind of hidden from us. All we know is the module we study and our lecturers. That's it. We don't know anything else.
You know what I find is scary is the fact that I feel that all of our CVs are identical. As in, they're obviously different jobs, but they all follow the same format. We've all been taught in the same way. We all think the same way. And when you try to think differently in the education system, you're punished for thinking differently.
You're a failure,
you're rewarded
basically,
for thinking the same.
You're a failure,
so in a way,
yeah.
This could be a bit of it's a bit dark, but in a way you could say universities are training you to think the same, so that you can't make a lot of money. You're trained to be put in your place, kind of thing. Because all these people, you hear about, like, obviously, Alan Sugar, Richard Branson. These people didn't go to university. They thought differently to all the rest. And that's what's made them money. That's what's made them successful. So that's what, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, hang on a minute. Is university, is education, is it a massive trap to keep you in your place, get you thinking the same way as other people? And if it's not a trap, then that just shows that you've got to do all this extra stuff to make sure that you stand out. Because when you come out of university, you're the same as thousands of people. So you've got to do something different, you know?
You think there, like Crystal alluded to earlier, I think there's a massive pressure on young people because you're coming from being a teenager to adolescence, right? You have all these responsibilities. You have the responsibility of looking after yourself, looking after your finances, looking after your, like, cooking for yourself, maybe, making friends, having a new identity. Yeah, you have to change your identity as well. Like, the decisions you make has to be mature, and you have to learn from your mistakes very quickly because, you know, for example, if you made a mistake in a night out situation that almost gets you in trouble, you learn from that, don't you? So do you think that, like, more needs to be done to support students, especially in year one, like, to support, like, their mental health, to make sure that, and also on topic of mental health, I think it's important to have confidential information, right? Because sometimes when we go through things as young adults, right, as young men and women, we don't want our parents to know, right? We want it to be close to ourselves. We don't want anyone else to sort of know. So I think that there should be people that we should be able to approach in university where our information is confidential until it's sorted. And then when we feel comfortable to let our parents know, they can know, kind of thing, because there are too many people that have just died without any reasoning, sort of thing. We don't know why they've passed away, but they've just passed away because what they're harboring in their mind is too much to bear, kind of thing. And yeah, so what do you think? Do you think that, like, more needs to be done to help students that, especially in first year, that have all these pressures? Because it's already enough pressure as it is going through A levels and college, right? Choosing the university. Some people go through clearing. I went through clearing, and then going through to first year, meeting new people, doing a new course, having to balance everything together. You know, it's a lot, isn't it? So do you think a lot needs to be done in supporting students in that regard?
The thing is, because in my last year of undergrad, I was helping people find the uni, you know, new people. I would be helping them to, you know what I forgot what you called it, like an ambassador. I was ambassador. And so I knew all the mental health stuff that happened in the uni. They've got, you know, a really great support team in our uni. But I didn't know anything about that in first year and second year. I only knew because I became an ambassador. And so when I did become the ambassador, I tried to help everybody. I was like, there's this great mental health team, utilize it. You know, they've got dogs, you know, that can help. You know, you can sit there and stroke the dogs if you want to. You can talk to people. You can do anything, utilize it. But I didn't feel like that was open for me when I was in year 1 and 2. And as I became the same, you know, you come from, you know, college to uni, and it's a totally different spectrum. Because me and I went to a Catholic school, and that in itself is very internalized.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go to college, again, that's also internalized.
In fact, sorry to comment there,
and then when you go to uni, everything's different.
But in the Catholic school we're at, would you say we were well protected in the school? Kind of, yeah, we were well protected.
I feel like we, as a Catholic school, we weren't open to anything. We were hidden from kind of society. And I realized that when I started doing my cultural stuff at uni, because obviously I do media, so I was looking at different cultures. And we were kind of hidden from everything. You know, this is our religion, this is what you have to do. And there was nothing to help us get from A to B kind of thing. So going from a Catholic school, very, very small Catholic school as well, to uni, that was completely different. You know, there's different ethnicities, there's different religions, everybody's just different. Everyone's got different identities. And I'm thankful that course taught me that, but other people's courses don't teach them that. And it would have been nice if, we're not hidden away in society, and that we can have, teaching, we can have these, stuff to help us realize that we're not, we're all different, and we don't have to be in a certain bubble or a certain way of thinking, way of, doing everything, as John Luke was saying, with the CVs and that. We are set in a certain bubble. We need to kind of realize that we're free to do anything, we're free to make our own identities, but that's not something that I don't think uni helps with.
Yeah, I would say that I remember I was given a support teacher in first year, and you saw him once a semester. And I remember me and someone else was the only people who turned up. And it was meant to be like 10 or 20 people with one support teacher. And it just felt like a waste of time, to be honest. But then the thing is, they take that support away from you on second and third year. I don't remember getting any support teacher whatsoever. So it's like, yeah, you're given a support teacher in year one, but then it's like, oh yeah, you've settled in now, so you don't need it anymore. And it's like they're just trying to save costs, when mental health is such an important thing to talk about. And, you should be given support constantly. And I remember we were talking the other day, IBK, about all them people in accommodation stuck in their rooms who you never ever see throughout a whole year. There was like at least half the people in our house who we never saw. So if they're stuck in their rooms all day and they're not given any, there's no email communications checking up on them, then you don't know where their mental health is going to go, do you? And even if it's just one email, that's not enough, because with one email, if someone's an introvert, they're not going to necessarily follow up on that email. You need to keep emailing them, keep checking up on them, find out how they're doing, and support them along the way. So I feel that's an issue that a lot of universities probably have the same issue there. And Crystal, you were saying about the fact that all this support was available, but no one knew about it in the first couple of years. It shouldn't be down to the students who feel it's their responsibility to give out all this information. It should be the university telling the students, here are all the things available to you. Now can you inform the year one and year two? It shouldn't be down to you, because you might as well have their job then. You might as well get paid for what they're doing, because you're doing all the work.
So how have you handled distractions during the pandemic?
Oh, that's really hard for me, honestly, because I've got two younger sisters, and obviously they couldn't go to school, so I had to tutor them. And so most of my time was going into tutoring them, cooking. My mom's a nurse, so she wasn't really around as well. Yeah, so I had to cook, clean, all of that stuff, as well as doing my university work and my dissertation. I couldn't handle it. That's the thing. And my mental health went everywhere. And even my tutor, he was not helpful at all. I remember I had breakdowns, and I was like, I can't do my dissertation. I can't do the question. And we had one tutorial for the whole dissertation. That was it. And so I feel like my whole last year of undergrad, it was shambles. It was honestly probably one of the worst experiences ever, but I'm proud that I got to where I am. And, I left with an amazing grade, and I'm so happy that I done that. But at the same time, I didn't handle it well. I couldn't. So
it's hard to say, really, because everything every day everything merged into one. Your entertainment, your work, everything merged into one. So I remember we was doing study sessions, and it's hard to even know where you're at. When these deadlines are, but you don't know where you don't know how well you're doing, if you're working hard, if you're not working hard. You've got no concept of time. You literally don't know where you are. But on the topic of mental health and support from the university, I think it's important that you're not defined by your grades. I think when I was at school, I felt defined by my grades a lot.
Yeah, me too.
And it took maturing in a way to understand, well, if you get a bad grade, that's not who you are. You just, you went through a bad patch and, you got that bad grade. But if you do that course or whatever, you do that paper or coursework again, you're likely to get a very good grade. So, you're not going to be at this high level throughout life, like constantly. You're going to go through different like waves, and university should be the first to recognize that. And they should be a lot more sympathetic towards students and each individual scenario, because we've all moved online. But people have different, circumstances that they're involved in. If you've got loads of kids around you and like they're screaming, they're playing and all this kind of stuff, like you might have had a family bereavement, or, you might be living with someone who needs, support or care or some sort of like, help in that way. But they don't care about any of that stuff. It's just, you've got a dissertation to do, you've got uni work to do. That's the most important thing. That's it. When, let's be honest, money's more important, health's more important, family's more important, So, that's what I think.
Yeah, that's good. I feel like for me personally, I think the study sessions that we did really, really helped me, especially, it helped my motivation as well. Because we were accountable to each other for, doing the work. So as long as you keep trudging on day by day, no matter how small your success is, it's going to lead to you doing less work on deadline day, right? So if you're not doing as much work as you should be on deadline day, you're going to have to do an all-nighter, right? Before the deadline of your assignment is. That's why I saw it. And we kept motivating each other. Me and you, John Luke, we just kept going every single day. I remember we would start at 9 a.m. and we'll finish at maybe 11. So we would space it out from maybe 9 till 12, 1 till 4, and then 6 till 8, and then 9 till 11, that kind of stuff. So doing that every single day really, 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 really helped me, because when I didn't want to study, my mind was telling me, oh, John Luke is in this study session, I need to join so I don't feel left out. Because I would be like, John Luke is doing way more work than I am doing, so I need to make sure that I'm matching your work ethic. And that really pushed me through third year. So I think coming up with that initiative of setting up study sessions really helped me to eliminate distractions. And also, I spoke about this in the last pod, but I said that one thing I did that was recommended to me was to look at what my attention span goes on. So in my phone right now, I use Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, Netflix. So those apps take up most of my time. So what I did was on YouTube, I was subscribed to maybe 312 channels, something like that. So I unsubscribed from most of them, because on YouTube, you can only look at what is recommended to you or what you're subscribed to, right? So I wanted to manage my distractions by cutting down what I'm subscribed to on YouTube. So I was only subscribed to 4 channels, which were educational based channels. And also, nutrition wise, I made sure I drank plenty of water, drank lots of smoothies and stuff like that. And I uninstalled apps that I don't really use that much. And I put my phone on airplane mode, when I'm studying as well. So that was the main way I handled distractions during the pandemic. Because in the pandemic, it's not like you're going from A to B. Like, I'm stuck at home. Like, everywhere was shut during the pandemic. So most of my time would be spent in my room or in the house I'm living in. So I had to make sure that my focus was managed, because I see some people going to the library, right? They go to the library, they open their bags, they bring out their books, and what they're doing, they're watching, I don't know, The Crown on Netflix, or they may be watching, Game of Thrones or something like that. And that takes up half of their study session. And one thing I also did was I stuck to the same, study playlist, because I see some people, they spend most of the time trying to decide the perfect study playlist to get them in the zone. But, when you stick to something and you go back to it, it makes your study sessions more easier to focus in. So I'm going to ask you, John-Luke, what are the unexpected opportunities you've had in your university journey?
I don't know if it was the same at your university, Crystal, but we had a scheme called the Advantage Scheme. So every single year we had to do a separate module, like alongside our course, and it could be in anything. So you could pick a language. It could be use it like some computer language. Ibika, I know you done Adobe Premiere Pro, I think it was. Yeah. And I done a like side thing in first line management, and that was actually recognized by the Chartered Management Institute. So I actually got like a certificate out of that I could put on my CV. So that was beneficial. So yeah, I didn't expect that going into university, that I was going to get all these side accolades and achievements. So I thought that was pretty cool and pretty useful for me. Because now after university, I can continue that and try and build on the level 1 certificate that I got and try and go up the rank in that regard. So that's quite nice. So we didn't have to pay for any textbooks. So we've got like £200 worth of textbooks that we've just got for free.
I got a free Chromebook. I got a free Chromebook.
What's that?
I got a Chromebook for free in first year, and I got a tablet as well.
Wow.
So you get given resources for free that do with your course. It could be textbooks, it could be that kind of stuff. I got a Chromebook which I sold, and I got the tablet as well, which I sold as well. But yeah, it was nice at the time, but I'm not sure if they do that anymore.
All I got was Domino's pizza vouchers. What's going on here? You chatting someone higher up, IBK?
Nah, I've got no connections. I've got no connections, mate.
Yeah. At the end of the day, though, you bought a fridge, so yeah.
Yeah, it works out.
And also, it's nice that you have got a different mug.
I know.
Because last podcast, you had a massive Sports Direct mug.
Yeah, I did. I'm having a smoothie right now. I'm having a carrot smoothie. I don't know if you can see it.
Carrot?
Smoothie in a mug?
Yeah. Why not?
Slightly weird.
Yeah, I've got nothing to add, mate.
Okay. One last question, Crystal. So what music or shows or anything you're watching would you recommend? It could be a documentary, it could be a Netflix series, it could be a film that you like, or music.
I forgot what it's called, but I was watching a series with my boyfriend called, I think it was The Haunted Hill House. I think it was on Netflix.
What's it called again?
I love that. I think it's called The Haunted Hill House, and there's 2 different types. So it was really good.
How many seasons?
I don't remember.
Okay. Is it long enough to not watch in a day?
It depends. I don't binge watch, so.
Okay. I binge watch. Anything else?
I did watch Parasite. I watched that for my media course. I don't know if you've heard of it. I think it's
I've seen it.
Korean, I think. Have you seen it?
I've not seen it. I watched the first 2 minutes. I was bugged out, so I didn't watch it again. I didn't know what's going on.
Watch it. It's really good, actually.
Is it in English or is it in Korean?
It's Korean, but you can put the subtitles on anyway. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, most of the stuff I watch are horror films, so.
Okay, that's fine. Anything else?
I have a sad playlist that I have on Spotify. I know it's really sad, but
is it because of the weather outside?
I can send it to you if you really want to.
Is it because it's always cloudy outside in Birmingham? That's why you have a sad playlist.
Probably that in uni. Just gets me down. So.
Oh, okay.
I have like Dean Lewis and all that on there, and Lewis Capaldi, and sad songs.
Okay. Wasn't expecting that, but hey ho.
How about you guys?
I listen to a lot of drill. I like Millions. I also listen to sorry?
I haven't heard of them.
I also listen to the playlist from this show called The Queen's Gambit. I like the soundtrack on there. I also like listening to soundtracks on movies. So Avengers, I love the Spider-Verse, the cartoon Spider-Man movie, Into the Spider-Verse or whatever. That playlist is so good, especially the one with Post Malone and Sway Lee. I listen to FR Joey. I also listen to a lot of electric guitar.
How about Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yes. Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy. I listen to that as well. I like, because I play the guitar as well, I like listening to electric guitar instrumentals. I listen to Afro beats, gospel as well. I also
So
listen
a bit of everything as well.
Sorry?
So a bit of everything.
Like, when someone says I listen to everything, like, I'm not happy with that answer, because you don't listen to white noise, do you? You don't listen to country, do you?
I listen to country.
Oh, stop
Do
it.
old country, new country, everything.
Oh, stop it. Okay, fair enough.
And Disney, everything. Honestly, I listen to the most insane. I listen to rock, Disney, alternative, just pretty much everything.
Do you listen to international music as well, like French music, Portuguese music?
It depends sometimes, depending on what mood I am.
Yeah. Like if you're wearing funky clothes, you can whack on some Brazilian music if you're wearing funky clothes.
I'll put a sombrero on or something, and then just start listening to some like Mexican music, whatever.
Yeah. And I like listening to pop smoke as well, so that's me. How about you, John Luke? What music or what are you watching? Documentaries or shows on Netflix or movies you've seen recently that you would recommend?
I'll give you 2 programs and then I'll go on to music. So one thing I recommend is, I'm just getting it up on my laptop. On Amazon Prime, there's James May, Our Man in Japan. And that's quite an interesting documentary where James May goes all around Japan and he does all these different like activities and eats different foods and things like that. But he's got this like funny Japanese sidekick with him, and it's quite funny actually. So, you know, I recommend that. It's quite cool. And he also has a cooking show, which is pretty interesting because he can't cook. So that's quite interesting. In terms of university, actually, I think you've already watched this, IBK, but there's a Channel 4 documentary that came out a couple of years ago, and it talks about how much money the chancellors and vice chancellors of each university gets, and how much they're actually spending on travel costs. Like, it showed that one university vice chancellor spent like hundreds of pounds on a cab to go from like London to Birmingham or something like that. And these chancellors are getting like first class, like Virgin trains, but they'll get the ticket the day before they need to travel. So obviously the price skyrockets. And they asked like all these universities, can you send us a budget sheet of where all the money that you're spending is going? And it's like only 12 universities out of the whole country responded. And like the rest, they would like skewer their financial figures, or they just put miscellaneous or other. And that there would be no breakdown of the costs of where that money's going. So it's quite an eye-opening documentary. I think it's called Channel 4 Dispatches. And they've got different topics they talk about, and there's one about university. I don't know if it's still on Channel 4 on 4 on demand, or if it's on YouTube, but it will be somewhere. But yeah, that's quite interesting. In terms of music, I listen to chart music, so like AJ Tracy, Central C, H. I know Abika doesn't like H.
I hate H.
But I also listen to like old school type stuff. So I like, you know, Justin Timberlake and Timberland and like Nelly Furtado, all them lot. I don't know. I just started dancing to that kind of music. Well, I can go anywhere. Yeah, I can go anywhere. I can go 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. I can go disco.
We're best friends now.
Because some people, they're like, oh, I only like this music. I hate all other music. But I'm not fussy. Like, I'll just listen to anything, you know? Like, for me, it all depends on the individual song. Like, there's not like an artist where I like everything. There'll be like certain songs I like, certain songs I don't really like. So I also listen to Eurovision songs as well.
Oh yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Eurovision songs. I like to send them to IBK every so often to get him to react to, because these reactions are funny. I started listening to French songs now because of my name. I thought, okay, I feel like a fraud. So now I've got to start listening to French songs.
Representing.
Yeah, exactly. Even though I can't speak French. So, but yeah, I listen to all sorts of stuff. So yeah.
Nice. Well, it's nice talking to you again, Crystal, after so many years.
I know, it's great.
It's been nice to talk to you again and catch up with you. I didn't expect it to go this well, but I'm really happy that you were able to talk about your experience at university and give some advice and stuff like that from your experience studying at university. And so how do you feel like it went for you?
I think it went well. I was a bit nervous because I haven't seen you in so long. And also, Jean-Luc, it's nice to meet you as well.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, but I think it went well. And just one thing, Jean-Luc, I need to tell you about what IBK used to do to me in Cardinal.
Okay, I'm leaving.
I'd say one of the stories. But no, we were doing PE. And he randomly jumped on my back and was like, "I need to give you a piggy. You need to give me a piggyback ride." So I'm carrying him around.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
All the time.
That's a lie.
Mind you, he's heavy as well. So I'm there like struggling, and he's not getting on.
When was this? What year was this?
Oh, this was back in when we used to have boys and girls for PE. I think it was back in year 8 before they'd done the girls and then boys separate. So it's about year 8.
Yeah,
he also
that was before puberty.
Oh, me out in
wait, huh?
In textiles. Do you remember? And I said, "I'll get back to you," but I just never got back to you, and I felt really bad.
Oh wow! So you beat me up like this, yeah? Oh my days! Okay.
I'm surprised you don't remember, to be honest.
I don't remember.
Well, I just embarrassed you now, so.
We're including that on the podcast, RBK, yeah?
Sorry?
Don't edit that out. We're going to include that.
I don't know. I'm
that is jokes.
I'm sorry.
I actually forgot what you said. Sorry. The first one I had was a piggyback. I didn't know the other one.
Yeah.
Okay, you said you're doing a master's.
Yeah, I'm doing a master's. Was your course 3 or 4 years?
Oh yeah, of course. We've done a placement year. What am I saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, ours is 4 years. Yeah, it makes sense now.
Yeah, around about that.
And then I've decided what you want to do after, or you've not?
No, not yet. I think I'm not sure if I want to go straight into a job or if I want to just take a little bit of time to chill, have a breathe, and then I'm not too sure.
Nice. Okay. I'm chilling as well. I'm job hunting slightly, but I'm not in a rush to find a new job because I'm aware that the average job span is 40 years. And I've been in a proper work experience before, and I know the stress of like working a 9-to-5 job. So I'm not rushing at all to get back into that because I know it's very stressful.
Yeah.
As well as having other responsibilities at home as well. So I'm just chilling and just enjoying my time really. And yeah. How about you?
Have you told Crystal about this podcast? Like, what's your aims for it and that?
So do you know what the aims are for this podcast, Crystal?
Not really. I think you just said there's a podcast and I was like, okay, yeah, sure.
Okay. So from the brief, is to talk to university students and see what their experiences are and they can share their advice based on like what they've gone through because not every student goes through the same thing. And the caveats of university as well, because university can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing as well. Not a bad thing, but it can be a bad thing for some, because not every student that starts uni finishes uni, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the aims for this podcast. So we're just recording now, and then when we have finished all the recordings, we'll like publish it, and I'll send it to you and see what you think, and hopefully it should be all right. There's this like exciting narrative the university has, but the real like bare truth of university is very different from what you hear people say on social media and like your friends say. So I think it's important to challenge the status quo that university is this perfect place, and like spread awareness on things like mental health, which does not get spoken about much, so that any universities that maybe watch this, they can think about implementing this in their universities and hopefully stop the statistic of mental health going down, and maybe introduce as well mandatory classes that could be held in year 1 or year 2 or year 3 for spreading awareness on equality, first aid, that kind of thing. Yeah.
That sounds great, to be honest. Sounds amazing. It looks like you got like a lot of plans. So
Yeah, we were always saying, like, I remember in first year, we were saying we wanted to do some kind of project together, like whether it's YouTube or podcast or something. And I guess in a way, IBK must think that you're similarly minded to him, because we're trying to have these like educational, like debate type stuff and just see where it goes, really. I mean, if all of us get noticed, then that's great, because everyone's helping out each other. And if not, we're just having like, just catch ups with people. And I think getting to know new people as well. Everyone's nervous at first, but then when you get to like, you can get a gist of people's personalities very quickly. And then it just makes you more comfortable on screen and things like that. It's like when we're going to go to interviews, we're going to have to see people that we don't know, like all the time. So it just boosts your confidence. So yeah, we thought we'd just give this a go and just see what happens, really.
Nice. Anything else you guys want to add before we finish?
Nothing from me, I don't think. Just happy to be here.
Yeah, just nice to meet you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice to meet you as well. And nice to see you again, IBK, after so many years.
After getting rejected.
Anyways, talk to you soon, and take care.